Hi, I'm Michael Meredith. Welcome to my home kitchen. Today we're going to go through some recipes, real simple recipes you can actually cook at home for Mother's Day coming up. A couple of real simple things you can do at home. One of them we're going to actually do today is the crumpets. Personally favorite of mine. Something you can do the day before and you can easily sort of put it through the toaster. Lots of butter, mascarpone, preserved, fresh fruit, whatever you feel like putting on the top. So very easy to make. What do you need? It's a stovetop, some yeast, some flour, some milk, and then it's pretty easy as making it that. So we're gonna do our batter first. So for our batter, we're gonna need 250 grams of just plain flour, 330 mils of milk, and we're gonna warm our milk up slightly. So we put that onto the stove. You just need to put that on 5, and you will just want room temperature, like 35 degrees, not too hot. In there we can also add 200 grams of honey here. We got a teaspoon of dried yeast. If you can get your hands on fresh yeast, 7 grams, something like that. Over here we got some water, 80 mils of water, a little bit of salt, and about 12 mils of malt vinegar, apple cider vinegar, and that goes in the second stage. So for our first stage, we've got our milk in there. We add our honey. And we just want to warm that up. So that's just coming up to about 30 degrees. Just want to warm that slightly. Then just add your yeast into your flour. And this is just a teaspoon of dried yeast into there. Then we'll add our milk into our flour. And you just want to whisk the flour through. And we can add it in 2-3 stages. You just want to make sure you whisk the flour completely through the batter. So we'll add all our milk into the flour and just whisk it to get a real nice smooth batter. And you want it like a good sort of pouring consistency right there. So once your batter gets to that stage, you can just put it into a warm place and leave it for half an hour, let it prove so it comes up in size. We're going to use the oven and speed up the process to prove our batter. So one of these, best thing about these Miele ovens, they got the special applications in them, and one of them is proof yeast dough. So set it at 35 degrees. I will put 15 minutes in there. Push OK, and that, okay. Place food in the oven, put in a little shelf too, push OK. So then once you get to 35 degrees, we'll start counting down to 15 minutes. And then after 15 minutes, we'll show you what it looks like. Should double in volume, and then we'll go through the next stage. So the timer's gone for 15 minutes. So you can see our batter is completely risen up nearly to the top of the bowl. So we'll go to the next stage now. So we got 80 mils of water here. We're going to add a good teaspoon of salt in there. Dissolve that as much as you can. And then we're going to add it to our batter here. Also goes in there 12 mils of apple cider vinegar. And you just want to fold that through. Just make sure it's completely mixed through. And then we place it back into the oven and let it prove again for another 12 minutes. So after that second stage of proving, when we added our vinegar and salt and water, so the dough now it's super bubbly. You can see, like, this is what you're looking for. Aerated, nicely aerated, and it's quite sort of light and fluffy over the top. So this is when you're going to be doing the best thing about it is cooking it. So if you put your ladle in there, it's probably going to fall a little bit, but that's okay. You just be careful not to sort of knock out that air too much. Best thing now is to cook our crumpets. So we've got a non-stick pan, induction top, and you're going to need some of these. These are egg rings. If you don't have egg rings, you can use a stainless steel cutter or anything like that. So they're nice, sort of round, no more than 1.5 centimeters in height. So just make sure also you grease the inside of these really well before you put it into the pan. So that just prevents our crumpets from sticking when you're actually cooking them and trying to get them off. So I'm using a little bit of rice oil here. You can use butter, clarified butter, another option. Also, I'm going to add a little bit more oil inside our pan. At this moment I'm using number 6 on the induction top. So you're going to cook them real slowly. So the whole trick about cooking crumpets, you don't want to cook them too fast, you want to cook them real slowly. So our batter is nice and ready. Look at those bubbles in there. Our yeast and vinegar is reacting quite well. So you want to take a little bit of the batter, pour them into the mold, and you want to bring them 3/4 of the way up. And no more than that, because you want to give the crumpet some space for it to rise when it's actually cooking in the pan. Like I said before, you just want to make sure this is on a very low heat. So I might just take it down back to 5. And then we're going to leave it for about 8 to 10 minutes on this side. But what you're looking for when you get to the end stage of that time, you're going to find some air bubbles start coming up to the top, and the flour is sort of almost like cooked over the top, and it's a good indication that the crumpet is almost ready to be turned over. And those air bubbles really actually make the crumpets what they are. So after 10 minutes, you can see our air bubbles are well formed on top of the crumpets, and you can see that dough is quite cooked through. So this is a good chance now you can turn them over for just a minute, just to color the other side. And slide them out of their mold as well. Turn them over for 1 minute. Good chance just to get the rings off. Just push them, it should easily come off the sides. The rings, and it should be ready. So nice golden browns, nice holes over the top. And this stage, you just want to cool them, completely cool them. And then just before you go to serve them again, just pop them into the toaster, warm them up, and then serve them with some mascarpone. We're going to do a filling of mascarpone, and then either with some fish fruit or some maple syrup, some honey, but nice and warm. So while our crumpets are cooking, probably a good time to make a filling. So I got some mascarpone, just plain mascarpone, and I'm going to flavor that with a little bit of rose water. Since it's Mother's Day, I think it'd be a nice touch to put a little bit of rose water in there. You can either use rose water, pomegranate syrup, or even orange blossom. So this is about 250 grams of mascarpone, and I'm going to add probably ½ teaspoon, just enough to perfume our mascarpone. And with that mascarpone, you can either serve that with some preserved, some honey, some maple syrup. So I feel like a little bit of nice richness of this warm crumpets, and then a sweetener with either a maple syrup, some blueberry preserve, anything like that goes with the crumpets. So the crumpets, you know, you can put butter, whatever you feel like on top, but I've always preferred to actually put them back into the toaster So I put them back into the toaster just to give them a nice, to warm them up, also got to give them a little bit of crispiness on the outside. So I'm going to serve you how I would serve them, but ideally at home you can do whatever you like. So I've got our mascarpone here that's been mixed with a little bit of rose water, so we're going to put a little bit of that over the top. And then if you have some fruit at home, some berries, some mixed berries, you can actually use that, but we are just going to use mascarpone and some delicious honey to go over the top. And if you want to grate some chocolate on top, you definitely can do that as well. And that is a good little breakfast you can do for Mother's Day for your mother.